Hey everyone, how is it going? My name is Miss Tina, and you are watching Squaziland, the occasional dose of my reviews, reactions, and opinions. And today I'm going to review one of my old favorite mangas, Glass Mask. Glass Mask is a very old manga from the 1970s, so I think it was written in 1976. It started back then, and it is still going. It's not going actually because well, at around 2000 or 2012, the publication of the story unfortunately has been suspended, and I don't know when it will actually be continued. The author, Suzuha Miyuchi, said in 2018 that she intends to continue the story, and I have seen some commercials, I think last year or the year before last year, which is about how many people would actually watch today the series itself, or is it possible that people would still want to see the ending of it? And I'm sure that there are many people who want to see the ending of it because it was a very popular shoujo manga, one of the old classics. You know, it actually came out when other big guns of the classical shoujos came out, like the Daddy Long Legs stories and the Rose of Versailles. The Rose of Versailles actually precedes Glass Mask, so the style is very similar. But as time goes by, everything gets prettier and softer. You can just enjoy reading the manga. Of course, it has live action series, live action dramas, it has short series, animes, not just one but more. Like I think there was one made in the 80s and maybe in the 2000s. So there are many Glass Mask products and media, but if you really want to enjoy the story, I think, and I really suggest you to actually read the manga. The anime and the drama cannot give you the same feelings. It's just not the same. It's a type of art form when you need your fantasy a little bit. You know, it's like you have to see what the character sees, and somehow the anime couldn't grasp that. I'm sorry, there might be fans who say the total exact opposite of this, but I just can't I just cannot really appreciate the animation because it doesn't give me the same feeling when I read through the manga. I don't know why. I usually like anime adaptations, but this time it just felt flat. The story is very old fashioned, so in our modern days it gives quite an interesting point of view of that era. It begins in the 70s Japan. The industry is booming, but there are some people who are left behind, and this is where we start our story off. The story is basically about Kitajima Maya, or Maya Kitajima. She's our main lead, and she's a poor girl from a poor family, and she lives alone with her mother. They actually live in a restaurant they work at, and Maya is only 13, and her mother is very strict to her. She's even mean to some extent. She doesn't intend to be mean. She's like, you are good for nothing. You are such a klutz. You know, these types of things. And she's like, there is no use of you. Because Maya is indeed not very clever in the sense that she isn't good at maths or geometry or whatever. She isn't good in studying, and she isn't really good at serving people, you know, those types of things. And her mother is like, well, in the practical life you wouldn't survive, and she thinks that she has to be strict with her in order to make her fit for life. It's not like she doesn't love her, it's just that she cares for her so much that she thinks she has to push her away, and she manages that well. Let me tell you this. So anyways, Maya has one passion, and that is theater and TV plays, TV shows. When she sees a show on TV, she can recite the whole thing. And once she gets the opportunity to go to a prestigious theater, and she can actually watch a play, a 2.5 hour play or a 3.5 hour play, she remembers every single line of that play. And of course her mother is like, oh, she's crazy, whatever, she doesn't realize Maya's true talent, that she's actually a talented actress, a born genius. However, there is one person who realizes that, Chigusa Tsukikage, and she decides to take Maya under her arms or wings, so to speak, and she trains Maya to become an actress. However, Maya's mother is not really keen on letting Maya go, so Maya decides to actually leave home for the best, and she leaves for Tokyo. And she meets friends, and she actually can get a theatrical role, a role in a theatrical play. And seeing her acting makes everyone realize that she has talent. However, talent is not enough. Not in this business and not in this industry. And of course, everyone looks down on Maya. Even Maya looks down on herself. However, she does know that she likes acting and she wants to act all the time, because then she can experience things she never has experienced and she can never be. She can experience, well, I almost said love, but love is a tricky thing. But she can think that she is rich. She can think that she is very intelligent. So all the things that she's not. Tsukikage sees that Maya is a raw talent, a diamond in rough. She needs to be a bit more, polished in order to become great. However, the industry is not that kind at all. Even back then in the 70s and in the 80s, it was not so easy to become a star, especially if you are a theatrical actress. So our two key characters from the beginning are Tsukikage and Maya. Tsukikage has actually a very famous role called the Crimson Goddess. You can see this in other versions like the Crimson Angel or the Red Angel or whatever. I just call her the Crimson Goddess because I think that's the closest interpretation of her role. The Crimson Goddess is a role that only she, Tsukikage, could play. And then when she left the theater and left the stage, nobody else was allowed to play it because the rights to that play still are with Tsukikage. And she's like, I'm never going to give it out of my hand unless I can see someone who can play this role as well as me, or even better. Well, and she thinks that Maya might be the person who could actually achieve that. On the other hand, we got other characters too. Maya's rival, Ayumi Himekawa Ayumi, if you prefer that, that thing. So Ayumi is actually born in a family. Her father is a director, a movie director, theatrical director. Her mother is a very well-known and accomplished actress who even wanted to become the Crimson Goddess herself too. However, she failed, or rather, Tsukikage didn't acknowledge her as a candidate for this role. And Ayumi wants to be the person who surpasses her mother. And this is the connection. And another connection is Masumi Masumi. Masumi is a cold-blooded businessman. He's with Daito Corporation. They are in several businesses, in media, transfer, whatever. The main thing is that he's filthy rich, and he's the vice president of the Daito Company. And Daito Company owns one part of the media and lots of theaters too. And of course, Masumi wants the play, The Crimson Goddess, for himself. His father, senior, Hayami, wants the play too. And it seems like that they are working together, but later on we realize that this is not exactly how everything plays out. I don't want to spoil everything, but just keep that in mind. And Masumi does everything he can, dirty or not, to get this play. However, Tsukikage is clever enough to hide and do the play in her own way. She wants to publish the play, or she wants to get the play on the stage again. However, in order to do that, you need lots of money and a good director, good characters. It's not just about one actress. However, if you have the main actress, which is the key point in the Crimson Goddess, then the rest of it is a piece of cake. Or is it? They are the key characters, although there are some side characters who reoccur and change the storyline for the better or the worse. For example, a love interest of Maya, Sakura Koji. Sakura Koji, sorry, I just forgot his name. I had to look into my notes. It's really not that easy to pronounce Sakura Koji. So Sakura Koji is quite similar at a quite similar age as Maya. He is talented, he is young, he looks handsome, he has what it takes to become a star, but he's still young. However, he and Maya has a very nice relationship. It's like a brother-sister relationship sort of thing, but Maya, for Maya he's like a good friend, but Sakura Koji wants more. And he cannot get more because Maya is too focused on the theater, the plays and everything. She cannot see the forest from the tree. Or the tree from the forest. Anyways, and this is an interesting love triangle which is about to happen, because there is also another love interest, which is Masumi and Maya. And that's a bit tricky because Maya is only 13 when she meets Masumi, and Masumi is already 21, so there is almost a 10-year age gap between them, but Masumi was actually very fascinated by Maya. There is the daddy long legs type of thing, so there is the old man, or the not the old man, but there is a mature man, so to speak, mature man, who is supporting secretly a young woman or a child who is becoming a woman. Well, it's difficult, especially nowadays when you read the series or watch the series, you're like, how can this be? Isn't that strange or weird or even creepy? Well, basically what happens is that Masumi, when he first sees Maya acting in the Little Women, he becomes an instant fan of her. He's like, she has so much passion. And he feels like, wow, he has never seen that before in an actress. So he sends her purple roses. And long before he knew, he actually started sending these purple roses to her every time Maya played and performed. And he always wrote to know that I saw your play, you were incredible, whatever, whatnot. And later on, Masumi decides that, you know what, I'm going to support her financially too. And he tries to buy Maya, for his corporation or his father's corporation, whatever. That's not the main issue. But he tries to give her roles in theater, in the movies as well. And on the surface, they both hate each other. Maya hates Masumi because Masumi is a calculating, cold-blooded person, which he does and is. I mean, he is calculating and he is sort of cold-hearted in business. However, he has a soft spot for Maya. And it's not about Maya changing him, nor him changing Maya. And Masumi doesn't expect her to love him because he knows that there is a huge age difference and it's like it's not possible. But he wants to support her because of her passion. Because Masumi cannot be who he really wants to be, and he wants her to have all that he has missed, that sort of thing. It's very complicated. You have to read the whole thing. This whole manga is about passion, and not just for your profession. It's about professionalism. It's about the love of a profession. You can see behind the scenes, and I have always loved series, no matter whether they are TV shows or they are mangas or animes. I like when we get a little bit of backstage tour, how things actually work. And in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s, the backstage of a play or even a TV show, it's quite interesting. So you can feel the professionalism and the passion throughout this whole series. And I intend to, repeat this word passion, because this is what this whole thing is about. Everyone is passionate. Maybe they are a bit too passionate, because Eisuke Hayami, Masumi's father, is really fixated on the Crimson Goddess, played by Tsukikage. However, Tsukikage doesn't want to perform anymore, and she cannot really perform anymore because she's very sick. And now, obviously, the Daito company wants to have this back, this feeling and everything. And he's very possessive. Eisuke Hayami is like, I want that play, I want her, I want everything. He wanted her, but he couldn't have her. It's a very interesting story about obsession as well. And all the key characters, Ayumi, Tsukikage, Eisuke Hayami, Masumi Hayami, and even Maya, they are all connected by this one play called The Crimson Goddess. And the side characters as well. I haven't mentioned Ray and Co. They are lovely as well. But these 4 characters are in the main focus, usually and mostly. And it is very interesting to see how plays can be interpreted, how actors can behave, and how everything changes, and how Maya matures and she becomes an actress. It's easy to say that, well, she has a raw talent and that's it, but Maya has to work. Really has to work for it. Even though she's very talented, that doesn't mean that she's good. It's not just about talent. Talent without actually polishing and roughening and learning is no good. I mean, you can be a fast runner, but if you want to run a marathon, you have to pace yourself. You have to learn the technique. You just can't run and win the whole thing. You have to think about many other things. And this is what acting is a bit about. So you have to think of your surroundings, and by surroundings I also mean the co-stars and actors. And Maya has to learn a lot of things about that. The story focuses on many things, but mainly on the acting and on Maya's life lessons, so to speak. And also the background stories for each and every character who are important to the storyline. So we get to see Eisuke Hayami's backstory, we get to see Masumi's backstory, we get to see obviously Maya's backstories, Ayumi's backstory, and all these characters who are connected by the Crimson Goddess actually make perfect sense. And this deep characterization makes them so wonderful. Usually when you hear that Ayumi is the rival of Maya and she is rich and her parents are, in the industry, you would say that, she's not a good character, not a good person. But everything Ayumi did throughout this whole manga is brilliant. This is the most beautiful rivalry I have ever seen in any TV show or even manga or in books, whatever. This is the best rivalry. I know that for a fact because, there's a time Ayumi actually recognizes the talent of Maya and she's like, she's talented, she's very good. I'm better, I know that, but she's good. And then Ayumi starts questioning herself. Ayumi has great technique, she can learn ballet, she can learn whatever she wants, and she learns it because she is very hardworking. But she always feels defeated when she is compared to Maya because Maya has a raw talent and she knows what to do, not because she learned it, but because she has it inside her heart, so to speak. So they are both competing for the role of the Crimson Goddess. And Ayumi grows, of course, concerned that even though she has great technique, she cannot really match Maya's acting. While Maya thinks the same way, so Maya is like, well, I'm good and people praise me, but look at Ayumi, she's perfect and she has great technique, which I never can have. At one point of the series, Maya gets into serious trouble and she's shut out, or she's thrown out from the industry, from the whole industry. So she cannot perform, she doesn't want to perform, everything. And when Ayumi realizes that someone actually did that to Maya because they were malicious, she was mad and she was like, you know what? I'm going to revenge you. She goes on a revenge spree. It's classic. You have to read that part. Carmilla the Vampire, brilliant acting. And then she says to Maya that, please come back. I cannot be satisfied until I beat you fair and square. I want to become the best candidate. Ayumi doesn't want the role if she doesn't deserve it. She won't have that role because she wouldn't feel fine. She wouldn't feel like she deserved it because she knows that there is someone else who might deserve it better than her. And Ayumi wants to beat Maya because she wants to prove herself. She wants to beat her mother, so to speak. She wants to be better, and she wants to be better on her own accord. Of course, as Ayumi, she is a rich girl. Everyone, people in her surrounding didn't acknowledge her for who she is from the inside or for her talents. Rather than they thought, well, she is a daughter of famous people, so we have to behave accordingly. And then she realized that she became, furious, and she was like, I have to be recognized for my own talents, and she didn't know where to put her skills. And then she thought, you know what, I'm going to be an actress, and an even better actress than my mother. And then she realized that people recognize her, and people stopped comparing her to her mother because they said that's Ayumi Himekawa and not her mother. So brilliant. This whole story is actually about, I'm just really about intense emotions, great drama. There are deaths, kisses, and everything happening in these stories. Some of them which are very questionable, especially the relationship between Maya and Masumi. Sometimes it's just like, I don't think that in the 21st century, especially in 2022, it would fare well. But as a love story, if you have ever read a love story, you will know that inappropriate things happen. Not that Masumi was too inappropriate. He was a bit creepy though. So, it depends. It really depends on your sensitivity to this topic. You have to read it for yourself to understand what I'm saying. I'm just giving you a glimpse into this whole thing, that this is Glass Mask. Glass Mask, really about the stage, about the plays, about the passion for acting, and some very, very interesting plays, I might add. So it's like you want to read more about that story. You want to have more of that. And I think that it is actually brilliant. When a manga makes you read a certain story because they made it interesting, I think it's a win-win situation. An interpretation of Romeo and Juliet was in there. And I was like, hey, that's cool. Not that I haven't read Romeo and Juliet, so I knew the story, but, it gave a new light to the story. Or the other one, Little Women. When I saw it, I was like, you know what, I actually should read Little Women. And I love the story itself. But seeing the interpretation in the manga was a whole nother experience, and it was great. And if something inspires you to read something else, I think that it is one of those things that it's not just educational, it piques your interest, and it makes you, better, because the characters themselves in the manga are all like, I want to become better, I want to prove myself. Maya certainly lacks self-confidence. She doesn't have any. Even at the stage where we are, she's like, I'm not so good, I'm not as good, blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't have self-confidence. However, she has a stage confidence, so to speak. So she knows that she can be a better Crimson Goddess than Ayumi. She knows that she can play certain parts. There's no doubt about that. However, she knows that she is not on the same level as other people. Maybe that's her fault, really, that she doesn't have too much self-confidence, and it's a fault of her mother's as well, because she always said that she's a good for nothing. And well, she didn't never said that she was a loser, but she was like, I don't really have a thought. So she was very negative about her, and it was such a shame that she was like that throughout the whole story. Tsukikage was an adopted mother of her, so to speak. So she gave her incredible amount of advice, what to do in the acting world. And she even did something that normal people wouldn't do. She said that, you know what, Maya, go and be a star, go and be a TV show star, go and be a movie star, explore that world. She knew that that world would eventually hunt her down. People would throw her away. She wanted Maya to experience that, and she wanted Maya to climb back from the bottom, to in order to give her confidence that she can do it. She can do it even if the going is rough. And Maya does it. And she is a great actress, no matter which role you see. I mean, read her acting, watch her acting, it's brilliant. But not in anime, please, not in anime, in manga. It's brilliant. I am really amazed by this whole story. Unfortunately, the story isn't finished yet. There has been many issues actually with the publishing itself. Up until the 25th volume or tankobon, whichever you prefer, everything was okay. But from that moment on until the 41st tankobon or volume, something has changed. Despite the fact that there were some chapters in the magazines, manga chapters are first appearing in the magazines and then they appear in their volumes or tankobons. But there were slight changes between the magazine, the story published in the magazine, and the story published in the tankobons. And old fans and people were not really supportive of that decision, because the changes at the beginning, they were minor, and then the changes became larger and larger. I don't know how or what kind of changes were they, because I haven't seen the original version. I just saw the tangobo versions of it every time. But after the 41st, I don't know which volume, but there has been huge changes. And then suddenly after the 49th, I think, no, the 50th, maybe the 50th, I might be wrong, it's either the 49th or either the 50th, the manga has been stopped. I think it was in 2012, so it has been almost 10 years now that the manga has been stopped. And the story has been stopped, and we don't know what will happen to our characters, who will get the role of the Crimson Goddess, what about the love interest. It's all for our imagination. I really do hope that Suzue Miyuchi will eventually continue the story. She promised, however, I think she might break her promise. She doesn't know what to do. She changed her story because of fans, I believe. That's what I read on the internet, that she changed the story because the fans weren't really happy about it, and then she got frustrated because fans weren't happy about the story itself. So it's like, stick to your own story. There will be people who won't like that, but stick to your own guns. There were people who were complaining that why should Maya get the Crimson Goddess's role when Ayumi is so hardworking and she should deserve it as well. And there were such debates, but an author to be actually affected by fans this much, I don't know. I just hope that she continues this story however she likes, because at the end of the day, she is the writer of the story. What she wrote up until now, what I have seen in the tankobons, were really good. She should just continue it, right? So yeah, this is the unfortunate thing about Glass Mouse, that it hasn't been finished, so the rest is up to your imagination. However, I believe that it is a story worth watching. They say that if you watch the anime, I think the latest anime from the 2000s, it's actually quite good. Only the ending is a bit of a lackluster. I don't know. I have seen a few episodes. They weren't really my favorite, but if you are an anime person, you might want to give it a go. So, Glass Mask, an old shoujo classic. Make sure that if you like shoujo mangas, to read this one because it is the absolute ultimate one. Really. Without a happy ending so far, but shoujo mangas aren't always about happy endings. It has ups and downs, great drama, so many good characters in them. So it's not like characters are black and white. They are all over the place in a very best sense possible. They are the great characters you are always looking for. They are human. And you can feel them that they are human. They are in love, they are in pain, they fail, then they rise. Everything you want to have in a story. Because, you have stories about heroes and they are heroes, heroes, heroes. And you have someone to go from zero to hero. But, in, for example, Maya's case, she goes from zero, but her road isn't as smooth that wow, she's talented. Look everyone, she's talented. She's talented, 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 and she goes to the top on a staircase. That's not true. She has so many difficulties and everything. It's amazing. And she has so much to learn. This is truly an inspiring story for those who lack any kind of confidence. This is what I believe, at least. So, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you like this review. And if you like this review, of course, do give me a like, subscription if it's possible, if you like this. And next week, we are going back to One Piece as usual. Up until then, have a really nice day and week ahead of you. Bye bye.